In December of 2018, Jessica was in the kitchen preparing for a Christmas party the next day. Her family had spent the last few weeks decorating the home and preparing for the party. Suddenly, Jessica noticed a naked woman standing in her front yard. Now, as if that wasn't strange enough, this nude woman began attacking and destroying Christmas decorations at Jessica's home. Now, Jessica immediately picked up her phone and dialed 911. "What was that?" Jessica yelled to her children. "She broke the window," yelled Brittany, Jessica's 9-year-old daughter. Now, can you imagine how crazy, how stressful this situation would be? Now, acting very quickly, Jessica grabbed her home defense pistol and took a defensive position near the front door. The crazy woman then began to smash the glass on the front door, attempting to enter the house. Now, this situation was absolutely terrifying for Jessica and her children. But does this scenario justify the use of deadly force? Let's ask ourselves the big questions. First, how could this situation have been avoided? Personally, I don't think Jessica could have done anything to avoid this situation. What self-defense options could have been used? In my opinion, I think a firearm is more than justified in this situation. Does this scenario fall under the Castle Doctrine statute? Florida Statute 776.013, subsection 2, subsection A. The person against whom the defensive force was used or threatened was in the process of unlawfully and forcibly entering or had unlawfully and forcibly entered a dwelling, residence, or occupied vehicle. Or if that person had removed or was attempting to remove another against that person's will from the dwelling, residence, or occupied vehicle. So what exactly does a dwelling mean? A dwelling means a building or conveyance of any kind, including an attached porch, whether the building or conveyance is temporary or permanent, mobile or immobile, which has a roof over it, including a tent, and is designed to be occupied by people lodging therein at night. A residence means a dwelling in which a person resides either temporarily or permanently, or is visiting as an invited guest. So let's really dive in and let's ask ourselves these questions here. Is this naked woman, is the attacker attempting to enter unlawfully? I think the answer is yes. Is the attacker attempting to enter by force? Yes, she is smashing the glass of the front door. Is the use of deadly force a reasonable response? Personally, I believe it is. In my opinion, Jessica would be within her rights to use or threaten the use of deadly force as the naked woman was smashing down her front door. However, Jessica made a very smart decision by taking up a barricaded position with her firearm pointed at the door while she was on the phone with the police. Jessica had decided to shoot only if the attacker made entry into her home. Now, thankfully, the police arrived and they apprehended this woman before Jessica was forced to fire her gun. Where is the line in the sand? I've always been a really big believer that just because we are allowed to shoot somebody doesn't necessarily mean we should. Pulling the trigger and taking a life is going to be a life-changing moment for you and your family, and it needs to be the absolute last resort. I think Jessica made the right decision. In my opinion, she had a right to shoot while the attacker was attempting to enter her residence. However, Jessica drew a line in the sand by making a clear decision not to fire unless the attacker physically entered her home. Now, this single decision, this saved Jessica and her family probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, years of stress, and the burden of taking a person's life. So what would you do? What would you do in a situation just like this? Would you shoot through the door, or would you wait for the attacker to make entry? Do you even have a home defense firearm staged and ready to go? What would you do if you were outside? Maybe you were doing landscaping or painting your house, and this crazy woman appeared out of nowhere. Do you carry your firearm when you're outside working? Nobody ever thinks that they need a firearm for self-defense until a situation just like this happens.